In this video, I'm using the Raspberry Pi 400 running FreeBSD 13.0 as the sole OS, and on it I will do everything I normally do, well maybe a little bit less, but everything I normally do on a PC for a week. In the first part of the video, the pre-titles and day one were edited on the Raspberry Pi using FreeBSD 13.0 using OpenShot. Not everything was included in this video. A lot of it has been condensed, otherwise the video might be several hours long, but hopefully it gives you the idea or impression of using the Raspberry Pi 400 as a sole computer running FreeBSD. Right, my Pi week using FreeBSD as the OS. Now this video has been edited using OpenShot. The titles have been also created with OpenShot. The frame rate has been created by a very rubbishy camera. And here is a lovely Raspberry Pi 400. I bought this roughly about a year ago, before the price hikes kicked in, so if you're thinking of getting one now, I'd wait a little bit while until the prices come down. But anyway, at the back of the Pi, we've got the Ethernet cable, got the mouse cable, we've got USB extender and a sound dongle at the end with the headphone cable coming out. We've got the drive, the USB storage which it's running off, the USB-C power cable, and it's the HDMI cable. And I will be using this as a sole computer for a whole week. The other computer is packed up, monitors are off, let's get going. Day one, putting the video together. Right, here we are on the Motif Window Manager, and I am uploading that video that you've just seen, which panned across the desktop from my camera using KDE Connect, and it's worked nicely. There it is, there's a video. It's kind of strange this. You've actually seen the video clip that I'm using now as I'm showing you the video clip. It's strange. And you didn't see this because this was edited out because that little tab on my phone case sticks up. Right, on OpenShot. OpenShot is a very, it's basic. It's a very usable video editor. And I'm just going to drag over some files. There's the files that we've just been looking at. There we go. Just going to save it. OpenShot is not the normal video editor I tend to use, but Kdenlive and Shotcut wouldn't work on this particular install because the FreeBSD on Raspberry Pi as it is now lacks the drivers for the programs to work properly, so it gives an error message and crashes. But OpenShot seems to work, so we'll be using that. I am not used to it, so I'm learning as I go along. So presumably these are the tracks. There's no separate audio, which is odd. Anyway, we'll just drag that down. Right, that's okay. That seems to be fine. Let's bung it that one. I don't know. It's very strange. Once you get used to working in a certain way, when you switch to something else, it takes a while to get used to it. Right, we're just going to put some titles on. That's interesting. It creates an additional file. I'm going to speed through this a little bit. And I think that we're all good to go to export the video. I don't know how long it's going to take. So I'll let that carry on. And I'll just do a time check now to see what time it is, what time we started. And it's 12:53 in the afternoon, just after dinner time now. And we'll come back to it when it's finished. Right, we're 99.99, 100%. There you go. And we'll check the time again. And it's 14:41, so it's what that? It's just 1 hour 50 minutes, 1 hour 48, 49, something like that. Just under 2 hours anyway to render a not very long clip. Day 2, Tuesday, web performance. Right, a lot of the things that we do with our computers these days is web related. And in this instance, it's no different. I normally use a dedicated email program, Sylpheed, to get my email done. But a lot of people do use Gmail, so we're just going to check Gmail out using the Raspberry Pi. One thing which I've noticed so far is the browser does tend to drag the system down a lot, so we'll see how this goes. Gmail is Gmail, of course, and surprisingly, there's not a lot going on here, but it feels very laggy. No more laggy than it does using Raspberry Pi OS itself, but the same performance. Simple screen recorder is recording, and that really does slow everything down. There's a calendar. Yeah, this was very slow to start up, so I'll fast forward. Yeah, that looks fine. It's a little bit slow, but it's things are still popping up, I think. And yeah, you could get away with using that. I don't think I would, but you can do. What else can we check out? I'm not even going to use Google Maps. Yeah, okay, we'll check out Google Docs. Again, a lot of people do their office work or the homework, etc. using Google Docs. I don't think I would. The speed is not too bad. That was quite reasonably fast. And we'll just have a look at this resume, or CV if you're in England. Very slow to start up. Okay, I mean, that looks fine. It's a little bit slow to scroll, but if we had to, then I suppose it would do. I do prefer to use actual Office applications rather than using browser-based. The performance is a lot better, as you'd expect it to be. So that starts up quite quick, and it is what it is. It's LibreOffice. I think Abbey Word would be best. I do like Abbey Word. It's something that I've used for years. It's a lightweight application, more suited to the Raspberry Pi, I think. My script, not that I'll use it, but I'll try and write one. You could always use Nedit, I suppose. Yeah, I like Nedit. It's quite fast. It's a motif-based text editor, so I'm kind of like biased towards that. I do like motif-based stuff. Right, let's install Numeric. Because when we've got Abbey Word going, so we might as well have another lightweight application, and this is your spreadsheet if you must. I like Numeric. It's, again, like Abbey Word, it's something that I've used for a good few years. It's quite responsive. There's a tiny little bit of lag, but it's not too bad. Like I say, what's dragging it down is Simple Screen Recorder. That really is making the system laggy. So the Gmail performance, etc., the OpenOffice performance has been nobbled slightly with the running Simple Screen Recorder, so you have to bear that in mind. Otherwise, when you use a system, as I have done already, without it running in the background, it's as fast, if not a little faster, than Raspberry Pi OS. And video performance of a YouTube video, yeah, it's fine. We'll have a look at the obligatory stats for nerds. Let's have a look. Are we getting some drop frames? It's not too bad. Not as bad as I thought it would be anyway. You gotta remember that when you use a Raspberry Pi OS, the Chromium browser, or the Chrome browser, is optimized. They've got it to use the hardware acceleration, the GPU as it is. With Firefox on here, it's not been optimized. So if it's running at all, it's running because of the power of the Raspberry Pi. And it's not doing too bad. And we're just going to run a little speed test. I just want to see how the Raspberry Pi is coping with everything running at the same time, how it affects the speed. I've got quite speedy internet, so we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I've seen it faster, but that's not too bad, I suppose. And uploading is, well, we'll have a look at what processors are running. As you can see, look, Simple Screen Recorder is maxing out the system a little bit, as is Firefox. So, and Xorg as well. So yeah, then no wonder things are slowing down. But yeah, it's fine. Right. One thing I do like to do is listen to music as I'm getting things done. So I'll just minimize that little YouTube video going in the background. But it'd be nice if I had an MP3 player. Now I know you could use music on console more, because I tend to usually use. But I was hoping, and by the way, it's Tuesday today. I was hoping that I could have something like XMMS. But it's no longer available, really. Not in the first version, anyway. So, if I could install Wine, which there doesn't look to be Wine, if I could install Wine and run Winamp, because Winamp runs really well under Wine. But there isn't any Wine. Okay. There's a lot of Wine extras, but not Wine itself. Okay. Well, I'm just going to change the repository from quarterly to the latest and see if Wine's available in there. It probably isn't, but we'll have a look. So I'm just going to make a directory, user local, etc. repos. Package repos, that is. So we can make a backup of the FreeBSD.conf So we're not altering the original. So I've changed it to latest. I've saved it to that new location, and we're just going to update to see what we can pull down. Okay, well, there's slightly fewer files. There were 30,000 in the other one, but there's only 29. Okay. And still no wine. Okay, that's disappointing. Let's see what can be upgraded. There's quite a few things can be upgraded. Of course, these things can be reinstalled for shared library changes. And oh yeah, some upgraded packages. But unfortunately, you need to remove Audacity and LibreOffice. So yeah, I don't think I'll be bothering. I'll change it back to quarterly. No harm done. And now we'll look 30,066 packages compared to, if I can just get up there. There we are, look, 29,663. So there are some omissions. It's very interesting. Okay, well that's fine, no worries. Let's just make sure Audacity is still there. Because I may or may not do some recording in it. It depends how the system goes. So day 4. What happened to day 3? Well, we didn't do much. Day 4, Thursday. A little light relief. Okay, it's not all serious stuff when you're using a computer, of course. Like in the old days, we used to play games. And this is no exception. I'm going to run a little Atari 2600 emulator. It runs really well, as you'd expect it to, but it runs really well on FreeBSD on the Pi. And I'm just concentrating as I'm trying to shoot. I'm not doing very well. Look at that lot dead straight away. I was never an arcade whiz. Right, so what else have we got now? Yeah, right, MU64. Now this is a brilliant Commodore 64 emulator. It's relatively new to me. I've not noticed it before. And it runs really well. It's got a nice interface. I'm familiar with the Vice Commodore emulators. But this one I've not seen. Of course, it lets you do everything that you can do on a normal Commodore 64, like your ubiquitous small basic program that you would do in the shop and leave it running to annoy the staff. Not that I did anything like that, of course. There you go. Hello. So yeah, that's very good. And of course you can play games as Donkey Kong. And I've got no hope of playing this as really I couldn't do Centipede or Millipede. So this is beyond my abilities. We've got no coordination whatsoever. So that runs alright. A little bit of music. And off we go. Yes, very nice. We'll come out of that. And if you've had enough of playing games, you want to watch a video, then you can watch one on the Raspberry Pi. The video may seem jerky, but like I said, it's because of the overheads of the screen recorder. Let's see if I can actually tweak anything to make it go a little bit smoother. There's not much I can do while I'm recording the screen. I normally use a separate HDMI recording box, what I use when I'm doing the test machine recordings, but it's not available on this side of the room where the Raspberry Pi is. So I'm having to software record. And it's really draining the system. Anyway, this is what it looks like without it running. So I'm just going to use the phone on the camera. And it's a lot smoother, of course, as you'd expect. So yeah, you can easily watch videos on FreeBSD on the Pi with no problem at all. In fact, that's what I do as part of the home theatre PC. I have a little Raspberry Pi 4 running. Day 5, Friday, a little hardware. Right, look what's come through the post. Now this will make things a lot easier for me. And if you use a Raspberry Pi or Raspberry Pi 400, I recommend you get one of these. What is it? We'll find out in a minute. It is a tiny little hub. And it's made out of aluminium, which is very nice. There's a bit of weight to it. It's not made out of plastic. And it will enable me to move all that there and plug it there. And it's got a little power one as well, so super fast charging. And individual little buttons to switch each one on and off. So you could have a lot of... that's very nice, that little cable. You could have a lot of USBs in there with different OSs on and switch between them without unplugging and plugging. So I'm just going to open... There you go, there's the power supply. The other one must have been the The USB cable. A little booklet. And yeah, that's very nice. Anything else? That's it, I think. That's it. Oh, let's get the actual main thing out. Okay. Very nice. It's aluminium based, a bit of weight to it, so it's not going to move on your desktop easily. Yeah. I recommend you get one of these. It makes life a lot easier. I think it was only cheap. It was only about £20. What's about $25 US? I don't know. And there's the power connector. There's not on that end, of course. So yes, just put it there like that. And it'd be nice if we had it in white, but it will complement it very nicely and make life a lot easier. Here it is, all connected up, all lit up like a Christmas tree. And we're just booting up on the system again. I love that scrolling text. Right, so yes, I've got the USB sound dongle in there. It's running nicely. Got the USB storage device, a Wi-Fi thing which I'm going to try, and some spare. Although I don't think the Wi-Fi thing will work. Will it boot up? Yeah, there we go. There's the login screen. So I'm just going to slowly type it in because I'm typing in with my left hand and holding the camera with my right. Password. We're done? Yeah. Brilliant. And here we are in there. And the great thing is it frees up the 2 slots on the back of your Pi. So you can have lots of storage actually. It's really nice. Runs quite fast. No problem at all. I like it. Like I say, it's a powered USB hub, and that's what I recommend. Not one which is powered by the USB socket itself, because I don't think the Pi could handle that. I mean, I might be wrong, of course, but a powered one is always best. And I'm just going to try speed test again now that we're actually filming with a camera. Yep, it's a lot quicker. So having that screen recorder running in the background did slow everything down, not just the browsing experience, but also speed, which is peculiar. Even the upload speed is faster as well. Yeah, and that's how it is. It's really a reasonable prospect to use FreeBSD on the Raspberry Pi 400 as your sole desktop. It really is. You're not going to do much video editing, of course, but everything else runs quite adequately. It will use the power, not much more of a calculator. So cool, and the sound works nicely through the USB thing, which is also very cool. I did test the Wi-Fi, it didn't work. Day 6, Saturday, a glimpse of the future. This is FreeBSD 14.0 current. And it's the latest one that's just come out at the time of this recording. And what do you see? I see Kden Live and Shotcut running nicely. I'm just going to make that a bit bigger. Do pfetch. Yep, FreeBSD 14.0 current, running on Raspberry Pi. And the date is, no. And the processors are, Simple Screen Recorder is still using a lot up. But it's not too bad. But Kden Live, yeah, and it's version 22.04.0. And Shotcut 21.03.21. They run in. Brilliant. So that's fantastic. The actual FreeBSD 14.0, I mean, I don't know what they did, but them 2 video editors running is a good sign for the future. Now, if it only sort out the video drivers, everything will be great. And that's one thing I did find out about this week, that the Raspberry Pi 400 is more than capable of being a desktop replacement, as long as you're realistic. It's not going to replace my workstation, which is an HP Z600. It's got 48 gigabytes of RAM. It's not the fastest RAM, but 48 gigabytes of RAM and 2 physical CPUs, giving me 8 cores, or 16 if you hyper-thread them. It's not going to... I mean, there are other beast machines out there that would blow that up. So it's not going to replace something like that, of course. But you know, for power consumption, it takes nothing more than a calculator, a desktop calculator. And for its compact size, it doesn't take a lot of room up. So there's a lot to be said about the Raspberry Pi. It's a fantastic machine. But it's, as long as you accept that if you're just going to keep it for basic things like web browsing, email, and light gaming, it's more than adequate. And FreeBSD on that is also more than adequate. There are some limitations, of course. You're not going to compile anything from ports in realistic fashion because it would take you a long time. You're not going to play the latest games. You're not going to play any 4K videos, etc. But other than that, very nice. I enjoyed this week. At the end of this video, there is a little bonus clip of FreeBSD 13.1, which is typical. I started the video a week ago. I didn't really know when they would release FreeBSD 13.1, but we'll have a look. And of course, on this day that I'm finishing the video up, it gets released, which is Monday the 16th, and it gets released, and that's what I've had to tack it on at the end, as is always the case, of course. Anyway, a little bit of ramble at the end. Hope this video was reasonably informative, and thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. So here we are on FreeBSD 13.1, and just look at that. There, look, it's FreeBSD test 13.1 release, just out today. Fantastic. And it's Monday the 16th at 20 to 9 in the morning. Well, roughly 20 to 9 in the morning. So it's only just come out, which is very nice. And here we are. I'm editing using Inkscape. Works perfectly well on the Raspberry Pi. And I'm doing the thumbnail for the video. So I think that's that. I'll just squash that down a bit. I'll raise that up. Interesting little bit there. Huh. Yeah, I'll tweak that in a little bit. Let's give it actual save now. So yeah, it's working well. You probably know, why do you use the same desktop and the same theme and the same menu? Well, because it's easy. You see, the thing is about Motive Window Manager. All you have to do is copy over some dot files and wallpaper, and you can replicate your look of your desktop to every machine you want to, which is pretty cool. Makes it a lot easier. I keep the dot files on a NAS server, so if I do need to set up a new machine anyway, and this could be this one, of course, it could be the test machine, whatever it is, or even if I have to reinstall the main one, all I do is just connect using NFS, get the dot files over, restart, boom, there we go. And everything which I've put on previously, of course, it's not going to install the programs again, but everything I've put in the menu and the theming, etc., is all set up the same. So for me, it's easier. So I can replicate this particular look on whatever system it is. And we started out in this video with 13.0. We had a look at 14 current, and now we're on 13.1 release. So I'm going to keep this one on this machine. And it's still affected by the same lag, of course, by that there, but it really does feel quicker. I mean, that actually started up quite quick, which is interesting. See, that is meant to be lagging things out, which it is, although it does seem faster. So we'll look at this. Yeah, still taking a chunk. I can speak. Still taking a chunk of resources, but Firefox seems to have calmed down, and Xorg doesn't seem to be as wild. So I think that the developers have made some improvements, which is good. I will be doing a full review of FreeBSD 13.1 later. This is a sneak peek, but it's looking good so far. I'm impressed. It's good times for the FreeBSD community. The developers are making some good headway, and the FreeBSD Foundation is funding a lot of development to make life easier. And of course, I fully appreciate that FreeBSD on the Raspberry Pi is not everyone's first choice of desktop, of course. But it works more than adequately. And if you was to run some server applications on the Raspberry Pi, it's even better. You know, you could use it headless for any reason you want. It would just sit in the corner. It would just do its work. It would never complain. So, yeah. FreeBSD, brilliant. Raspberry Pi, fantastic. Put them both together, yeah, to me, it's a no-brainer. So, yes, very nice. So, FreeBSD 13.1 seems to be running very nicely and smoothly, quickly too, which is always impressive. And it's going to be a good one, I think. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. Again.